There are some people that just seem to have it so easy socially. They do nothing, they are just themselves, they don't even care about their social lives, and they just seem like they have the perfect social life automatically. Like they don't even invest energy into it. Whereas for you, there is quite a lot of friction to even talking to people. Perhaps you don't even feel the urge to talk to people very often. You would just prefer to be home alone, locked up inside your room, do some activity on your own. If that's the case, you need to understand that there is not such a big difference between you and these types of people. In fact, you both feel this social need inside your mind. It's just a primal thing that we all feel. But you might just be too overstimulated. You see all of these resources like the reels on Instagram, on TikTok, the shorts on YouTube, even the longer YouTube videos like this one, and TV shows and movies and video games. All of these things are created meticulously and carefully by these very wealthy companies that want to hook your attention. Like they invest so many resources, so much money into hooking you on their platforms. And because of this, they created these mechanisms that are just meant to satisfy our social needs. Like our brains don't really care if we truly talk to people out there in the real world, or if we just interact with the virtual world and perhaps we watch movies all day long, perhaps we play video games all day long. These things are created to satisfy our social needs, and unless you're careful about it, you will not feel the need to talk to people anymore. You might just end up being locked up inside your room every single day, all day long, and you will feel perfectly fine with it. And that's when you obviously have to encounter social situations still because you are a human being, part of society, and you will feel like something's weird, like it's very hard to talk to people, like you would rather not engage in those conversations. Well, yeah, because people have flaws, because people might judge you. The online characters from the virtual world, the characters from TV shows, they don't judge you. In fact, they even seem quite perfect, so why wouldn't you kind of befriend them in this parasocial way? You see, this is never gonna be to your advantage because this will only make you to be less in touch with the real world. And then if you are so overstimulated, if all your free time is invested in consuming content and engaging with the virtual world, then obviously when you're gonna go out there and engage in conversations, in social situations with real people, it's gonna be quite tough. There is no wonder that's the case. But if you were to just strip yourself away from this overstimulation, or at least lower half the amount of time you spend stimulating yourself, consuming content, you would just find that you do feel at least a bit of an urge to talk to people. And talking to people is a lot easier now because you have an impulse to do it, right? You're not going completely against the flow. Now, there is such an aspect of being an introvert or an extrovert, obviously. And I heard this scientist, this like huge scientist named Andrew Huberman, talk about it in a very interesting way, where he said that basically the difference is that the extroverts need more social situations in order for their brains to generate the dopamine that says, okay, that's enough social interactions for today. The introverts need maybe a couple of interactions like that, and their brain is like, it's perfect, you can go home now, our social need is taken care of. Whereas the extroverts, maybe they need like 20 such interactions for their brain to give that signal. Now, that's obviously the case, and perhaps you're an introvert, perhaps you truly need like one interaction per day to feel satisfied, to feel like your social need is okay. But unless you take some time away from all of these distractions from the virtual world, you're basically never gonna find out. And it's not even fair for you to assess your introversy or extroversy right now. And like, how do you even plan to know yourself, to find out things about yourself if you're overstimulated all the time? Like you are a whole universe to discover. You don't even know so many things about yourself probably because you're just used to stimulation, stimulation, stimulation. Just take some time to be bored. A lot, like most of the scientific discoveries throughout history, were born out of boredom. I started this movement, this YouTube channel, because of boredom. But I chose to be bored because I could have chosen to go ahead and engage in these virtual world activities all the time, to play video games. And you see, the beautiful thing, by the way, this is a separate point, but the beautiful thing is that I used to play FIFA so much, like that football game. I used to play FIFA for hours and hours and hours every single day. Now, this thing that I'm doing right now, recording these videos, kind of satisfies the same need from my brain as FIFA did. So you might find yourself in a similar situation as well if you're playing video games or if you're just watching TV shows, reels all the time. These things satisfy a real need from your brain. And if you just take some time to be more bored, to engage in less consumption activities, then you will just find out that you automatically get the urge to do something else because there is no way you're gonna just be bored like 5 hours a day or something, just looking at the wall, being idle. There's no life to be lived. So your mind will just come up automatically with certain activities and ideas for you to do. And the best way for you to lower the amount of consumption and virtual world engagement you go through on a regular basis is to find some creative activities to engage into. Like you could either be bored or find these creative activities. Now, you will not be able to be bored for too long, obviously, because it's boring, but your mind, as I said, will just come up with ideas. And the aim for you is to find these ideas where you are in the center of attention, where you are the protagonist, doing something to something instead of just receiving pleasure automatically, passively. Because when you're consuming content, you are just staying, right? You're doing nothing and you're receiving pleasure. Now you could say that, yeah, but like when I'm playing video games, I'm just moving my fingers and I'm really invested there. Yeah, but like let's just step away from the virtual world. That's key here. That's the most important thing. The virtual world is just gonna numb your receptors for the real world sensations that you should feel. So after you go through this practice, which might take like 2 weeks if you're serious about it, you will realize that you start feeling the need to talk to people more. You start feeling the need to just do some activities more, to enjoy your life more. But if you're just consuming content so much, you will never be able to find that part out. It's just gonna be hidden away from you. Certain aspects about you, about your authenticity, are just gonna be hidden away for so long, unless you take the action to just be bored and to allow your mind to come up with these ideas. And as time goes on, you will just realize that you start feeling the need to talk to people more. You have the impulse to go ahead and engage in conversations with them. And then it's a lot easier for you to go ahead and engage in these uncomfortable social situations, which actually give you the progress you desire, which actually are gonna get you to the point where you unleash your inner confidence, where you become more charismatic, start attracting people to you. And then your social life will feel as easy as these people we just talked about in the beginning of the video, right? The extroverts. You are meant for this as well. Now you might be like, yeah, but like what if I'm just an antisocial person and I really don't want to talk to people at all? Well, there are people that are going to be matchy to you, always. There will always be people that you will get along with well. Perhaps you're just stuck in the wrong group of people. People throughout history used to say that the antisocial behavior is a sign of high intelligence. Well, yeah, that might be the case, but it's not really in your advantage to just live by that. Because interacting with people, engaging in social activities, in conversations, is so fun, really. Like when you find people that are at least matched to you in a couple of areas of life, and you can genuinely talk about it with them and do certain activities with them. It's such a nice experience. And you've probably had such experiences throughout your life. You've probably had a couple of friends like this. Maybe you do have them right now. There are more people like this. And you don't have to find the perfect person. This is also a thing that social media and the virtual world does for you. It basically raises your levels of acceptance for another human being because the characters you see online, they're just perfect. They don't have these flaws that real humans do have. But you have to just lower your standards and to understand that there is no person that's perfect. All people are going to hurt you at some point, at least a bit. Even your best friends are gonna hurt you at least a bit. No one's gonna behave perfectly. You can't have these perfect expectations from them because they are not virtual characters. Real people have flaws. But the idea is for you to find those people that you are truly matched with in at least like one area of life even. If you're into football, for example, find a person that's also into football. And then every single time you go out with them, you talk about football mostly. There's nothing wrong with that. Then you might have a person that's into painting if you're into painting as well. And you can paint together. You can talk about painting and techniques of this. You see, like, you don't have to have a person that's into painting, into football, into going on hikes as well, and into philosophy. Because the odds, like with every single new preference and hobby, the odds of you encountering such a person just go down. The odds of you finding a person that's into one of these areas is a lot higher. And this is something you will realize as time goes on, that this is basically the only right way. To wrap this all up, you need to lower the amount of interaction with the virtual world and raise the amount of interaction with the real world, starting with spending time with yourself, with engaging in creative activities, with being the protagonist of a certain activity in the real world. Doesn't even have to be around people. It doesn't even have to include other people for the beginning of it. Just iterate on it every single day. Start with like 5 minutes in the first day. Iterate until you get to the point where you can spend 2 hours doing such an activity or just being bored. And then you will see that your social need and even your overall enjoyment of life are gonna be improved massively. This is a net positive. Like, you have nothing to lose from stepping away from the virtual world, and you have everything to win. And this is something that your future self is definitely gonna be grateful for. So, what are you waiting for, really?